Thank you very much. I just want to start, first of all, by thanking Rosh Shiva, Rosh Shmuel Kamnetzi, who's here, who has been so incredibly helpful to Aish HaTorah in the past few years, and we have a tremendous Aish HaTorah for helping us through stormy waters. And I also want to thank Rabbi Feldman, who's here. I feel personally connected to Ner Yisrael through NCSY every summer, and we spent time there learning with the boys, but also in terms of Aish HaTorah with Jacob Weinberg. And I can tell you that the shiurim he gave in the summers when he would come from Ner Yisrael are probably the shiurim that everyone is constantly looking forward. And thank you so much for being here. I also want to thank Rabbi Lowenbraun and Rabbi Felsenthal, who literally are brothers to me, very, very close to me. And what they've done here is amazing. And it's just, thank you. Thank you for your chizuk, your words, and your love, and everything else that you bring here. I'll be brief. I want to make a few points. I feel, sitting up here a little bit out of place in terms of the chashivas of the table versus myself, why I'm here to be able to give a few words. I have spent a lot of time in Kirov, but I think that one of the things that was a little bit helpful to me was to take a break. I went to the Simon Wiesenthal Center for a few years until Aish HaTorah pulled me back to the fray. And in some ways I felt a little bit like Hush Ben Dun, kind of taking a step back and then a step forward to be able to give perspective some of the things that I've seen in the Kirov world. And they have 99% been incredibly positive. And I want to share some of that with you here today. The Rambam talks about Avram Avinu. Avram Avinu was not the first person to believe in one God, in Ribono Shel Olam. Rambam says there were other people, Chanach, Mesushelach, Shem Ve'ever. There are other people. Then the Rambam says that Avram came, the Amudo Shel Olam, the pillar of the world, and he broke up all the idols, and he literally started Yiddishkeit. And the Ravid asks a question. He says, why were Shem Ve'ever? Why didn't they break up the idols? Why was it left to Avram that Avram was the one that stepped forward? And the Kesef Mishnah answers the question, and he said that they both had two different approaches. He said that Shem Ve'ever ran a yeshiva beis medrash. If you would come into a room, a building like this, you'd be able to learn all about Hashem. But if you were on the other side of those doors and you didn't know the secret handshake or knock to get inside, then you wouldn't be allowed inside. You wouldn't know to come inside. You wouldn't know anything about it. But when Avram Avinu came, Avram Avinu shouted from the rooftops. Avram Avinu was the one to make the case to everyone walking down the street. He would grab them by the lapels, shake them, and tell them that there was one God and that HaKadosh Baruch Hu was a Ribono Shel Olam. And it's as if Judaism could have gone one of two ways. We could have gone the way at the beginning of Shem Ve'ever to be very insular, that there are a few people that actually know the truth. And then there was Avram's derech, that everyone needed to know about HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And the question I had was that the Kirov movement, so many of us talk about the fact that it's been in existence the last 40, 50 years. I know for our institution they talk about Rav Noach in the Old City pulling backpackers off the kotel. But the truth is, Kirov has been at the center of Judaism for thousands of years. Our whole Yiddishkeit is based upon it. The question is why? Why must it be so inherent to Yiddishkeit? So I once had a conversation with someone not of our religion. I found myself in a lot of interesting places over the years. And I happened to be speaking one time to a Mormon. And we were schmoozing back and forth. And we started to schmooze about the shlichus that they go on after high school. And they send, as many of you know, their students all around the world to proselytize and to bring people closer to their religion. And I asked a very simple question, which is, you send out all your children, how many converts do they return with? And he said, we have no idea. I said, you spend millions of dollars sending people out and you have no idea how successful you are? He said, we don't do it for the converts, we do it for our kids. If they go day after day and talk about their beliefs, then it builds it up inside of them. And something clicked inside of me and I realized that the reason that Kirov and reaching out and talking to people about Judaism is so important because we have to articulate, and as we articulate, we get stronger ourselves. As Rosh Shiva said, Kirov Atzmeinu. I thought it was a brilliant term. Kirov Atzmeinu.
And when people don't reach out and have these conversations and learn with people, they're robbing themselves. I can tell you the Balabatim is a program now in the village shul, the Aish Shul in Toronto, where they have 50 men learning with another 50 men, 50 with a background, 50 without a background. There is no doubt in my mind that the frum men in that base medrash are the ones that are growing the most. And by us not reaching out to Jews and getting them inspired to go do kiruv, we're robbing them. And it's even a step further. I have found that the frum world needs us more than ever before. They need our passion, they need our inspiration. We started, Rabbi Chaim Sampson here started the Project Inspire convention. It was a convention to inspire frum Jews to go out and inspire other Jews. And then we found out that so many Jews walking in that room just wanted to be inspired themselves. That's why they were there. We've done Shabbat in places, we just did recently in Flappers, so many people came in, yes, to hear about influencing others, but also to have their heart sing. Aish HaTorah started years ago the Discovery Program to teach people about God. Today, it's right across my office. I see there's not a day that goes by that there is not a yeshiva or a seminary coming to take the seminar. Because the frum kids need to know about the Ribbon Shalom. And so for all of us in this room, we need to understand that kiruv is not a small, nice program division. And if we're very lucky, then there will be a major convention someplace, and on a Friday morning at 8:30 a.m. on a side room, there'll be a session about kiruv. Kiruv is Yiddishkeit. And we need to understand, because this is about saving Klal Yisrael. People need to feel, they need to be inspired. The religion doesn't work without passion and inspiration. So the first point I want to make is how important it is. And in Aish HaTorah, we've made an important decision, which is our Smicha program. Every Elul, our goal is 50 to 20 new boys in the program. But it's not only to go to kiruv, it's to go out everywhere, to all organizations, not just Aish. But as I said many times, to become the Rav of the Shul in Portland, Oregon is kiruv. To be the 8th grade Rabbi, as we discussed so many times, I've had Hasidic beautiful men come to me and tell me how they listen to Rav Noach's tapes and they include them in their 2nd grade, 3rd grade, 4th grade classes. Everyone needs it. We need to stand up and understand that we are not a fringe movement. We are Klal Yisrael. Which leads me to my second point, which is the kiruv movement. We need to have unity. We need to come together. There was a point in the 1970s where many institutions opened up. It started in Or Sameach and Aish HaTorah and Machal Shlomo, and there were different approaches. And it was in Machlokas absolutely l'shem shamayim at the time. And I've said this to many people. I have not seen a Machlokas more l'shem shamayim than the different paths that came out in the 1970s. But today we need to come together. It can't just be everyone has a mom and pop shop here and this here. We need to come together. When it comes to schools, schools are 80% alike and 20% different. Shuls are the same way. Kiruv, everyone seems to have a different approach, different direction. We need to figure out how to come together. And I can tell you that this has been my approach recently in Aish HaTorah. We're very proud that recently Rabbi Herschel Lutz just walked in, that Ma'ar ran one of their first events a few weeks ago in the Aish building. We recently had a mission. We had a Rav from Or Sameach come to speak on the mission. I spent time with Chappelle's talking to them about different things, social media, etc. We need to unify. We need to come together. That we have so much in common and we need to focus on it. And there is no downside to that. There is only an upside to be together. I don't come here to just say this is the way to do it, but I think these conversations need to happen amongst all of us. And the third point is the big idea. Everyone in kiruv is constantly looking for the big idea. What's the next big idea? The big idea. I have found that the idea is Torah. We need to teach Torah. I have taken a look around and I've seen so many programs, so many people are scared to have a conversation with someone to tell them they need to learn Torah. So many organizations are struggling. How do people become Shomer Shabbos? How do we get people to be Shomer Kashrus? How do we get them to move? I have literally seen and talked to different organizations where they've been working 7 or 8 years on sending people to Israel on tours, and almost no one became Shomer Shabbos. So we have redone our tours that we are starting. We just started. We had a men's mission where half a day was spent in the base medrash. And I am telling you, there is no replacement for that. How we advertise, how we market, how we bring people in, yes, let's have conversations. But once they come in, they must learn Torah. It will speak to their soul more than anything in the world. How we articulate it, we need to obviously give it over in a way that they can understand it, but it will be that message. People can be inspired, but inspiration is fleeting. You can be inspired one day and then the next day it's gone. But Torah stays in your heart. And we as a community need to focus on this learning. And I am telling you, these are not empty words, on behalf of Aish HaTorah, that we have changed our whole model to be able to support all of you. If you want to bring people into our building, into our base medrash, we will set up chavrusas, we will set up learning, we will absolutely roll out the red carpet, because that is what we have to do. In closing, again, I just want to say that I'm happy to be back amongst my brethren after taking my hiatus, my time off. But I really feel that the time is now. The time is now in terms of reaching out to the unaffiliated, but the affiliated as well. As I've said to many people, Yiddishkeit hasn't gone this long without terrible things happening to us in a long time. Without a genocide, literally. We're in decades and decades. And the frum Jews are suffering and need us, and we have to be there for everyone. And we can no longer be a fringe movement. We need to take ourselves seriously, and we need to move back to the center, and we need to inspire and get all Jews to come back to Kodesh Baruch Hu and learn Torah.